Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Excited for another interview. Today we have an awesome guest, Yasemin Tunc. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Really
this will
appreciate
be fun.
it.
My first time being a podcast
Hey,
guest.
so excited
yes.
to be a part of that.
Yeah, thank you.
And she's basically a neighbor too, which I mean, a very easy.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's very hard for everybody to see, and I can't adjust the camera, but we can actually see Yasemin's
Yes,
building from here.
yes,
So,
for sure.
yeah, that's
For sure.
excellent. We only film in locations where we can see where we
Oh,
live.
of
Derek
course.
and I are homebodies.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
no, we really just want to be able to see anyone and everyone in this.
So I think you have such an interesting background and personal life story, some of which
Yeah.
I already know, but we're going to share it with the audience today.
Sure.
So I think if I were introducing you, I would say that you are a life coach.
I am.
You're an investor.
I am.
You're a Chicagoan. You
I
live
am.
here locally. So I would love it if you could just start with any piece of that you'd like to and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I am a Chicagoan now, and I'm an investor now, and I'm a life coach now, but those have all happened within the last 7 years.
Wow.
I was born in Turkey, in Istanbul, but I have been in this country for 42 years.
Oh wow!
But I came to Chicago from Muncie, Indiana. So I worked at Ball State University in their IT area my entire career, 28 years. And it was great. I loved working for Ball State. I love IT. My last job was Assistant Vice President of Academic Technology at Ball State. But then my daughter got pregnant. And I thought, okay, it's time. I'm here all by myself. Both my kids had graduated college and came to Chicago. It's time for me to move to Chicago and be close to, my kids. And so I decided to retire. I was 55. And the year before I retired, though, I had met Lynn, whom you know.
Yeah.
Through my daughter because she was their realtor. And so I had purchased this apartment or condo. And for the fact that I wanted to come here more often when my grandkid was born, and so I didn't want to crash on their couch. I wanted to have my own space. And so I bought this condo. So a year after that, well, not quite a year, maybe 8 months after that, I decided, okay, that's it. I'm actually going to move to Chicago. So I came here and moved into my condo, which I love my condo. It is
that's so great
such
to
an
hear.
amazing building.
And I've shown in your building before. It's so beautiful.
It is
Walked
beautiful,
spaces.
yes.
Really, really cool.
Yes.
And I do love the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's
yes,
a great day.
right?
Yes.
Great neighbors.
Uh-huh.
So then that first year I was trying to learn my way around Chicago. I knew only 2 people in Chicago. Well, 3, I guess. My daughter, my son-in-law, and my granddaughter.
Wow.
And then Lynn and I were talking, and I had some money. So I thought, maybe I can just buy an apartment and rent it out. That would be extra income for me. So she helped me buy this, my first, second apartment, I guess, after my own. That just kind of started the ball rolling,
Yep.
And
Isn't it amazing how you
yeah,
get addicted to life?
I know, it is kind of addictive. Now I have 5.
All in Chicagoland?
They're all in Chicago. Yeah, 5 outside of my own.
Wow.
And then I started volunteering for Dress for Success. And that was great. That was only like 3 hours, 1 day a week. And then I thought I need to do something more because I committed to babysitting 1 day a week. And they used to live in the West Loop. So I would walk down there, spend the day with Maggie. And then Tuesday, so that was Wednesdays. On Tuesdays, I was volunteering. And that left like 5 days a week that I had nothing to do. I need a job. I didn't know exactly what kind of job I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want. And what I didn't want was to go to an office, work full time, and wear a uniform. So I
Join the
thought,
club on that one.
Yeah, I think all 3 of those fit our requirements.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
oh, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. So I thought, life coaching.
Yeah.
I can become a life coach. I can work from home. I can work as much as I want to. So I started looking at some training programs, and I found this awesome training program. And I signed up. It was a year-long, 1 weekend a month, in-person life coach training program. I mean, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And then throughout the month, we had like homework exercises to do and that kind of thing. What I didn't realize was what it was going to do for me as a person. I just thought, okay, show me how to do life coaching and I can do life coaching. And what I learned was you can't really do life coaching. You have to be someone to connect with people so that you can actually understand the person that you're talking to. Anyway, so that was an amazing.
We were just talking about this. We had a connection in our life that became a life coach very early in life. And the first thought that popped in our heads was, well, how can you be a life coach unless you have some experience to share you've gone through? So it's interesting you bring that point up. That what you offer really is your perspective on a really interesting time of life.
Yes.
I also think it's interesting that you needed a job after retirement, because my father's retired 3 times, and every time he does it, I'm like, what's your next career? You know?
Good for him, though.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So anyway, I started that business too. But in the meantime, I had incorporated or created an LLC for my rental, because by that time I had 3 apartments already.
Yep.
So yeah, that's where my life has taken me.
Wow.
The other day I was talking with a friend of mine, and I was maybe for the first time mentioning this property management LLC, and she said, "Oh, I didn't know you were such an entrepreneur." I'm like, neither did I.
Well, but that's the word that's coming to my mind too. I'm thinking about the transition you went through, both physically coming from, I mean, back from your origin to America to now, but from Muncie to Chicago alone is a massive
change.
Transition.
Yes.
And then to dive right in to not only being a part of the city, but managing property in the city.
Yeah.
And you said they're all condos, right?
They are.
So you're managing multiple condo associations, multiple tenants.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
you are running a business.
I am running 2 businesses.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what I want to know is, was that always like the intent to do that? Or did you just kind of fall into
No, Derek, I just sort of fell into it.
Yeah.
After the first one, like Matt said, it became like, oh, I have this cash. Can I buy another one? You know, like every time I have a little bit of cash, I would call Lynn and say, hey, let's go start looking again. And she would take me around. So this has turned into a really interesting journey for me, because each of the apartments that I end up buying, I walk in, and of course I have criteria, right? It has to be a 2-bedroom, in-unit laundry, a parking space. And then when I walk in, this feeling, would I live here? Mm-hmm. And if that's the feeling I get, okay. I mean, of course, if the price is right and the reserves are there, whatever, the technicalities, but it's just become this emotional kind of connection for me. And that was really when I bought my own condo, that was the first time I bought something by myself.
Yeah.
Well, outside of a car, but when I walked into my own condo for the first time, and I had looked at maybe 30 condos around Chicago before that, I felt like home. I had grown up in a 2nd-story condo with my parents with a tree-lined street, and it felt like home. So that's what I have been feeling every time I find something that I really like, and if I have the money, then I say, okay, let's do it.
What stands out to me is that I think a lot of investors now, particularly with COVID, it became very popular to invest sight unseen from far away and things that the numbers work. And you have such a personal attachment to their assets, but they are assets that mean something.
That's right. They're my assets.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I'm picky about my tenants. So I have been extremely lucky with my tenants. They're awesome people.
Knock on wood.
Yes, knock on wood is right. I have this one tenant. She was the first tenant that moved into my very first condo, or the unit that I bought. She's still there.
Wow.
Like every time her lease is up, she would be the one reminding me, actually, I think my lease is coming up. Can we just extend it? And I'm like, of course, I love you.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm attentive to their needs, of course. When there's a problem, we fix it. And now I have people, like I have an HVAC guy,
Right.
and I have a handyman, and I
Over
have
time,
a
you meet
painter.
everyone.
So it's been great. It's been great. I love it.
I'm curious for you, just functionally thinking on Derek's side, when you were acquiring these properties, was it traditional financing? Were you buying in cash?
I was buying cash.
You were? Okay, so
Mhm.
you were really you didn't have to go through any lending stipulations.
No lending at all.
So not my favorite kind of buyers. But
No,
I guess
I'm
if you're-
sorry.
Then that's okay. If you're going to be in that position, why not, right?
Now, but I am
Yes.
curious now, as an investor, so you developed a portfolio now, which
Yes.
on paper has a considerable amount of equity value
Oh, for
and
sure.
is bankrolling the rent.
Yes.
So I would assume if she ever wanted to get a loan for a larger project, I mean, you have a larger portfolio to borrow against,
For sure.
right?
Oh yeah,
For
like when you
sure.
have those assets, that's all you can do. Then you can tap into that equity.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of people doing that right now with things like cash out refinances, DCRS loans, and all those
Mhm.
kind of things.
Yeah, because I just recently, and this again, I am the luckiest person in the world.
Luck has a big part to do with a lot of life.
Oh, for sure, and
You
be
create your own
open
luck,
to
but yes.
luck.
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to refinance my own condo for a long time, and finally, I did. And of course, those assets came in handy because I don't
Right.
have a full time job. I'm
Right.
not getting a paycheck from
Absolutely.
anybody,
But
so
on
that was
paper,
hard.
you are collecting.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
that's
Where
so
you
great.
had all that passive
Yes.
income that they could use to help do that.
Well, in a
Yes.
city like Chicago, the rent is so consistent, reliable, and recently going up so much. I mean,
Yeah.
you really can show positive numbers there.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
One thing I want her to talk about a little bit for like our listeners is the fact that you went into the LLC,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
I have people ask me that all the time of, hey, I'm buying a house, let's put in the LLC. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, this is just your own home right now. Maybe we should
yeah,
wait.
no.
So talk about like when you decided to do that, some of the benefits of doing that, and was there ever a point where it's like, hey, I need to incorporate here?
So, my attorney, my real estate attorney, advised me to create the LLC after I bought the first unit.
Yep. The first investment unit.
First investment
Yep,
unit,
yep.
yes. My own does not belong to the LLC.
Yep.
It's
Oh, yeah,
just the
separate.
5
Business
rentals.
first person.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. She said, if something happens, you're liable for something. It's
Yep.
better to have the LLC be responsible so that you don't lose your own home.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why I created the LLC.
Yeah,
Smart.
that way it gives you some protection there.
Yeah, my poor tax accountant, of course, is pulling his hair out because I have my 2 LLCs and my own stuff. So,
Now, do you see? I'm curious because you work with who is your average client these days? How would you describe like your
In life coaching?
Yeah, in life coaching.
well, so after I finished coaching school,
Mm-hmm.
it is the hardest thing to find a client because people
Yeah.
go, well, I know how to live my life. I don't need a coach.
Yeah.
So then I thought, okay, I need to do more. And that's just me. Always need to do more. I got certified as a meditation and mindfulness teacher.
That's great.
And then somebody mentioned something about character strengths, a friend of mine, actually. So then I immediately Googled that and found out that there's this whole field of psychology called positive psychology. And I looked into it, and it came out of University of Pennsylvania. And lo and behold, Coursera has a Fundamentals of Positive Psychology 5-course program for
Wow.
however many dollars. So immediately I signed up for that. And then, of course, this was during COVID, so nothing is happening. Then I thought, okay, every marketing book you read, they're talking about a niche. And I was just so resistant to the idea of a niche. But then in this one book, I read one line, you are your ideal client. And I thought, okay, who am I? Well, I'm a retired woman. Ooh, I wonder if retirement coaching is a thing. So I looked it up. Sure enough, it's a thing, and there's a certification for it. So I'm certified retirement coach.
I'd like to see a list of all the certifications at this point. She got a binder with the certs in them, right?
That's so
that's
great.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm done, I think. Maybe. So my ideal client could be anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really enjoy working with people one-on-one. But retirement coaching is interesting too, because again, I'm a retired woman, so I'm now a part of a couple of Facebook groups on retirement, and people talk about travel. So one day I was thinking, yeah, travel. I mean, I love travel. I have a daughter who lives in Greece. My brothers live in Istanbul. So I counted the days since I retired. It had been 2,190 days.
Wow.
And by that time, I had traveled to 9 countries for 90 days. So I had 2,100 days that I was not traveling.
Yeah.
And what was I doing, right? So this whole idea of, I'll just travel when I retire, because I heard that from a lot of my friends
I
too.
think a lot of people aim for that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And it's great, but you're not traveling 24/7, 365. Right. So I'm developing a program called SHAPE, and I call it, What's the Shape of Your Retirement Program? And SHAPE is an acronym. It stands for Social, Healthy, Accomplished, Purposeful, Engaged.
Love that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
That is very cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. So I envision that to be like 6 to 7 week group coaching program. And we'll just talk about those 5 things. And in the beginning, people would fill out sort of a questionnaire of some sort. And
where they are now.
Yeah, where they are now,
right.
And what their goals are for retirement. And then at the end, they will create like a retirement plan for themselves so that they have all 5 things covered. Because when people retire, you know, in our culture, we are so conditioned to work, and our identity is tied to work. And this happened, all 5 of them actually happened to me. So when I retired, what was I? You know, I was assistant vice president, and then I was a grandma. Not that there's anything wrong with being a grandma, but
big transition.
Huge transition. And I kind of lost myself. So this life coaching training program actually was amazing to help me regain my footing in my life, so to speak.
Yeah.
It keeps you sharp too, right? I mean,
for sure. Constantly reading and learning. Yeah.
Well, and now to be able to turn that and give it back, especially with this course, that's a really cool endeavor. And I think in part why I was asking that question too is I look at, like you said, you're a recent investor or now a recent entrepreneur into the investing space. So I think it's really cool that as you're sharing this experience with other people who are going through retirement or maybe already in retirement, that idea is coming into play. Yes.
The goal is to hopefully help people plan for retirement, or within the first year or so. Like the first year of retirement, I call it a honeymoon period. Really, it's fun because, and I read this in the comments of the Facebook group, I don't have to set an alarm clock anymore. Yay, that's great. But then, you know, you wake up at all hours of the day and half your day is gone sometimes.
Right.
And what kind of life is that? Just kind of flailing about, you know?
Sometimes having a routine kind of helps things run more smoothly, right?
And actually, I had a friend of mine come to me and she said, you know what? I miss my structure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. We have a lot of people come to us. It's a new term, right, for millennial investors, is they want to retire early.
Yes,
everybody's focused on retiring by like 30
Fired?
if
they want to be out of
fired,
here, right?
Yeah, fired. That's right. Financially
early.
independent, retire early, and that's exactly the idea. And everybody comes to me and Derek, and they want investment strategies that'll lead them to that as best they can with passive income. And I look at it, and it's such a great goal in terms of building a passive income stream where you can truly be independent.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that. But what I think people mistake is that they're just all of a sudden going to be able to just exist with a bunch of money and no purpose other than to spend it. And I don't know. There's this separation of like the vision and the path, or like it just doesn't.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do with no work, right?
Right.
What are you going to do with yourself?
What are you going to do with yourself? Exactly.
You can only watch so much TV. You can only fish so much. You can probably play golf all the time.
I could probably play golf. But you think, you know, eventually, and where I think thankfully a lot of people turn that into as charitable efforts or some kind of social focus. But it is interesting when you see the overlap of, okay, you want the passive income, but if you don't have a plan for how to manage just the time itself,
right.
What does it do? You know, where does that leave you?
I mean, people really age quicker, I think, when they don't have a purpose or they're not engaged with life.
Yeah.
They don't take care of their health. So I'm excited about this program.
That's really
as much
cool.
as I'm excited about having one-on-one clients too.
And we'll make sure we link, if there's a link to the program or just a link to somebody to get in touch with you, we'll make sure we include that in the show notes as well.
My website and my email, sure.
Perfect.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
great.
you. Yeah.
Now, I'm curious because you just so happen to live in a building
Yes.
right on top of, like, I guess I'm going to call it one of the most controversial developments going on in the
agree
city
with
right
you.
now.
In a while.
In a while.
I guess, do you consider Arlington Heights Bears Stadium could be?
Well, I'll throw that in there as it's probably number 2.
Okay.
Number 1 is the Chicago Casino. Number
Yes.
2 is the Bears moving.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's where you know you stand on the spectrum.
It does.
How
Yeah.
do you feel as a neighbor knowing what's about to happen? You know?
You know, I have mixed feelings about it. I don't know what to expect to live next to a casino.
Yep.
I have a friend, she's extremely excited about it because she thinks it's going to bring life to the neighborhood. And really, River North is a very vibrant neighborhood, but I live on the edge of River North, so it's not very vibrant at all.
It is true. The west side of River North is much quieter than if you go
for
towards
sure.
the center.
Yeah,
of
where all the
Streeterville
restaurants are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It seems
Right.
to be more like communities. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm not sure that I am that excited about it. And I have a neighbor who has decided that if they build the walkway bridge to the Montgomery Park, he's selling and moving out. And I'm not sure that I am that pessimistic about it.
Yeah.
Seems like it'd be a killer property to add to the investment portfolio at that point. Then, if you wanted to be out of there.
True.
Right?
True. Yeah, I would not sell.
Yeah.
I would keep that. You know, if I'm able to buy something else, that would be great
Yeah.
to live. But I love my apartment so much
Yeah.
that just the idea of moving, I don't want to go there. So I don't know. The construction will be horrible.
And that's with any project, right? I mean,
Construction
the construction
will
period
be
is going to be bad.
horrible.
And
Yeah.
we were talking earlier, we hope that there's going to be some development of the roads and, like you said, the bridge.
Yeah.
That would be the part that would irritate me the most. Is just because I know what that intersection is already.
Oh, it's
It
tough.
is terrible.
And
Yeah.
could you imagine on a Friday evening or a
Yeah.
Saturday
Oh my
during
God.
the day if there's an
Halstead?
event there? You know,
It's a
Yeah,
night-
stay
it's going to
away.
be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right?
It will be a
Yeah,
nightmare.
I mean, they're going to have to maybe double layer those roads at that point.
Now, I'm curious,
Yeah.
just as a local resident, did you have a lot of warning leading up to this happening? Were there meetings with the aldermen or the
There
local?
were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had sent around meeting announcements. I
Mhm.
didn't attend any of them.
It's hard to know. You're really just listening, not voicing.
True,
You know, in
true.
a lot of
It's not
those.
more
But
informal.
Our building has voiced its opinion through our board president,
Mhm.
and we're not for the casino,
Right.
But nobody's listening, of course.
I think that was a lot of the neighbors.
Yeah, I
which
think
is-
so too.
Yeah.
I
Is
think
that
so
the general
too.
census for around the building? Is people don't want to?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we've heard the same. And when you say we're unsure where things will go, I think we think about it too. Where sometimes we're worried, could this impact the local market? Probably will have an immediate impact to some extent. We'll see what types of businesses it attracts and what types of
Yeah.
community it attracts. But
I mean, it'll be good. I think for they're talking about new restaurants opening, and so yeah, especially if they fix that bridge. That bridge is just god awful. Oh my gosh!
It stinks.
It's
Oh
been
my
there for
gosh.
so long.
I
too.
mean, at the end of the day, though, I can't imagine it's not going to bring in some, like you said, some good restaurants,
Life.
some good places.
yeah,
I can imagine Chicago's going to do a good job of it.
Right.
At least you would hope.
I hope so. Yes,
Right?
I hope so.
So if you were now, I have to ask this because I mean you're a life coach, so you give advice professionally, right? So
well,
if,
advice is not my job.
Oh, there you
but
go.
that's
Fair.
okay.
So if you were guiding someone or coaching somebody on getting into real estate, maybe, particularly because it feels like investing fell into your lap more so than
Pretty
you
much.
went and sought it out. Is there anything that you would want or tell somebody just getting into this? Things to prepare for, things you've learned?
Yeah, do your homework, I would say, in terms of what neighborhoods. I mean, I guess I look at it from the point of view of my tenants.
Mhm.
When I put somebody in this apartment, is this a good living area for them?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it depends on the purpose of the investment, right? I'm looking at this much more emotionally rather than, okay, I'm going to buy this 2 units sight unseen.
Yeah, you
That's
never
not
once said that
me.
your goal was maximize profit
No,
in every
it's
unit,
not. It's
right?
not. I didn't raise rents for like several years. So,
See, not all landlords are bad.
Right? Yeah, I don't know that I can give anybody advice because it's just my own way of doing things, and everybody has a different focus on why they want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, why was, sure, I want some income, of course, but it was more like this connection with my tenants. And I mean, I'm not visiting them all the time, of course,
Right.
but still, again, would I live here? Would I have a peace of mind knowing, people I know live here? Will they be okay? Yeah, I have 3 apartments in the Albany Park neighborhood between Kedzie and Montrose.
My buddies live out there.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful neighborhood. Oh my gosh. A few years ago, I was going to one of the units to meet a repairman or something. I can't remember exactly why I was there, but it was snowing and it was just quiet. I'm like,
Some
oh
beautiful
my
like
gosh,
tree-lined streets.
beautiful neighborhood. So, and then I have 2 in the medical district on Harrison.
Yep.
When my current tenant moved into one of the units, her mother was there, and we were talking, and she said, "Is this a safe place for my daughter to live?" I said, "My daughter lives across the street."
That's pretty perfect.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah, so
That's so great.
yeah.
Anything
I have
else
been
you
lucky.
have for today?
No, I think we hit all the nails on the head on that one.
Anything you would like to leave everybody with today? Anything we didn't talk about that you'd like to go?
No, I think this was such a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you guys.
what it's meant to be. We
Yeah.
really, and I feel like what we try to get out of all this is something that everybody can take away. And you just have a fascinating story.
Thank
I'm so
you.
happy for you that you've found the track that you found, and now you have the
Yeah.
options that you have. And best of luck as you launch this new program. We'll do whatever we can
Thank
to
you.
advocate and
Appreciate
help with that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you
That's
so
exciting.
much. This was
Well,
fun.
for everybody watching, listening, thank you again. Like, subscribe, follow if you are looking for more great content like this. We're going to put all the links possible in the show notes so that
Okay.
people can get in touch with you if they're
I will
interested.
send
Thank
it.
you again, everyone.
Thank
Take
you.
care.